Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We are jumping back into loading for milsurp rifles today, and we're loading for one of my absolute favorite. This is a Swiss K31. I'll show it to you in a little more detail in just a second here. I will tell you right off the bat that this is not my first time loading for this rifle. Not long after I got it, there was a vintage military open sight match coming up. I threw together a quick load with IMR 3031 and I went to the match and I did extremely well with this rifle. I think you're gonna see why in just a second here. So let me show you this rifle in a little bit of detail. Like I said, it is a K31. This is the shorter, more recent version of the Swiss K11. It is a straight pull rifle, meaning to work the action, pull back the bolt to unlock, and straight back. It does have a detachable 5-round box magazine. However, it wasn't originally intended for the magazine to be loaded and then inserted into the rifle. At least that's how I understand it. Anyway, you can see right here, there is a spot for a stripper clip, and this can be loaded from stripper clips, though I do not have any for the K31. You can see it's got the Swiss crest up here. And here is probably the main reason that this gun is so useful shooting out to longer ranges. Those range markings on this sight are extremely clearly marked and very easy to see. It's quite quick to jump up to another spot, and these sights are very crisp. The rear sight is adjustable for elevation, and in kind of a cool design feature, this front sight is adjustable for windage. You can see the track that front blade rides in is slanted, so moving it forward and back actually moves it effectively side to side. As it came to me, it was nearly perfectly zeroed. We're going to check that in a few minutes here. You can see it does have a blonde stock. This is my only milsurp rifle that has a blonde stock. What else am I missing to tell you about here? You've got your stacking piece right here. This is not a cleaning rod. And the bolt release on this side that allows the bolt to be taken out. I'm not going to do that on a YouTube video because they tend to be a little bit crazy about things like this. The trigger is quite good. Let me close the action here. And I'll give you a bit of a demonstration. It is a 2-stage trigger, so there's that first stage, and then it's got a super crisp, though slightly heavy, second stage pull. I would guess it to be around 5 pounds. It is not any worse than a standard AR trigger, and actually quite a bit crisper. There is no grit or creep in it whatsoever. As far as cocking goes, it does cock on open. That initial unlock, which I can't seem to do one-handed here, the initial unlock moves that cocking piece back and cocks the gun. You'll see that more when we actually shoot it here. The cartridge the K31 shoots is the 7.5 by 55 Swiss. For those not familiar with the cartridge, the 7.5 designation doesn't actually mean a whole lot. That's what they call their 30 calibers. This rifle does shoot a 308 diameter bullet. The cartridge itself is 55 millimeters long, kind of puts it between 308 and 30-06 length, and it is a little bit bigger in diameter. I'll show you a picture of that up on the screen here. This is the Swiss ammunition that the rifle was designed for. This is GP11, and unfortunately it's not being made anymore. From what I understand, the factory in Switzerland that made this ammunition has shut down. The remaining stocks of this ammunition are reserved for Swiss shooting teams. Now, it's been quite a while since I read about that, so I may be off on my details a little bit. But I've only got 20 rounds of this, 2 10-round boxes. I'm not going to shoot it right now. I don't see any reason to do that, especially here on the 50-yard range. We may put a small group together with it at some point or take it out to distance and see how well it matches the sights, but probably not. Like I say, I've only got 2 boxes of this and it's becoming worth quite a bit. Let me show you a picture of the cartridges up close. What you're seeing here is today's hand loads right up next to the GP11 round. What you'll notice is that the GP11 bullet is significantly narrower and longer than the 168 grain Hornady bullet that we're shooting today. Unfortunately, there is no good replica on the market for the GP11 projectile. From everything I understand, the GP11 round is extremely accurate and was kind of ahead of its time when it was developed. But even with that, there are no bullets that quite match the profile of this one. So because of that, we do have to seat our 168 grain bullets fairly deep into the case to avoid running into the rifling. When I purchased this rifle, the gentleman that owned it before me had loaded up quite a bit of ammo for it, but it would not cycle in this gun. I could get it to jam in. Obviously that's not ideal. He was using 180 grain Spire Point bullets with H4895, a fairly low charge of it, and he had not seated them nearly deep enough in the case to chamber. Because the charge was so low, I just ended up seating all those bullets deeper, and they shoot just fine now, but it was pretty clear that they were pull-down bullets because the bullets themselves were fairly dinged up. Anyway, like I mentioned, today we're shooting the 168 grain Hornady boat tail hollow point. That is the bullet that I shoot in pretty much all of my military surplus rifles that shoot a 30 caliber bullet and were designed for Spire Point bullets. I did mention that I had done a load with IMR 3031. This is 41.5 grains, and I do have some of it left. We'll shoot a group to start out here today just to get a baseline for velocity and accuracy. But 3031 doesn't seem to be ideal to me, just because it leaves so much room in the case. To give you an idea on powder charge weights, this was 41.5 grains of 3031. Our starting charge today with Shooter's World 4350 is 46.5 grains. And there's still some room in the case, but it fills it up quite a bit better. Shooter's World does not have data for 7.5 Swiss. I am loosely basing this on the Hornady load manual's data for accurate 4350. As I've mentioned in the past, all the different 4350 powders behave just a little bit different. From what I understand, Shooter's World 4350 is the slowest of them, with accurate 4350 just slightly faster. So we're gonna start way low on the charge weight. Hornady lists a max of 51.1 grains of accurate 4350 with this bullet. We're starting way, way, way below that at 46.5, and in this first 5-shot test, our highest charge will be 48.5. I just want to get a baseline. I certainly don't want to burn this barrel out or anything, so we're not going for a super hot load. What I'm looking for is something that will roughly match the sight gradations. As I mentioned, it's not going to be perfect because the GP11 is, I think, 175 grain bullet. With a completely different profile than what we're shooting, but in my little bit of range experience, I was able to get fairly close with this 3031 load. With all that yakking out of the way, we're gonna get shooting. I will mention that it is 87 degrees and about 75% humidity today, and it is sunny, so the light's filtering through the trees, and I'm guessing that'll make the chronograph act up, though I haven't shot yet today, so I'm not sure, and it'll make the target just a little bit hard to see. As I did mention, the sights on this are extremely good and easy to see, so hopefully that will help things out, but if the accuracy is not superb, I may just have to wait for a cloudy day to test this again. Anyway, let's get to shooting. I am gonna load this from the top. It does require a fairly sharp draw to the rear to cock it. Let's start out shooting a 5-round group with the 3031 load and get a bit of a baseline, see if we can get our chronograph to pick up all of that. Oh, because of the short length of pull on this rifle, I do shoot it most of the time with a limb saver slip-on recoil pad. It adds about an inch to the length of pull. This gun doesn't have a tremendous amount of recoil. It's fairly tame shooting, fairly similar to 308, but for long shooting sessions, the recoil pad definitely helps. All right, feeding is super, super smooth on this. Let's see what we can work with. All right, did pick up. Got a velocity of 2473 on that first shot. I'm still not used to drawing this sharply to the rear to eject, so it was sitting right in there. I'll do it on the next one and you'll see that it really kicks that piece of brass. I do have the sight set down on the 100-yard setting, and I am holding about 6 o'clock position on the black center of the target there. All right, let's eject one. Yeah, because of how the sunlight is, it is extremely hard to get lined up on that dot. It is necessary when shooting this gun to remove your face from the stock before cycling the action. Otherwise, this ring will bust you in the eye or the cheekbone. All right, looks like a fairly consistent velocity. Let me look and see what it gave us. Got an average velocity of 2476 with an extreme spread of just 18 feet per second. So you can see we are shooting kind of on the slow side, but that's absolutely okay. I had no trouble hitting out to 600 yards with this rifle the last time I had it out. All right, so that was the 30-31 loads. Oh, I'm gonna take a look at the target quick. Yeah, not a great group. Again, I am gonna blame that on my hold on the target and not the rifle. In that last match that I shot in, there was a know your limit stage, and I was able to hit the, I believe it was a 4-inch round at 100 yards with no difficulty. So just keep that in mind. All right, we're gonna start with 46.5. I'll just single load these here. Yeah, 2211, super slow. All right, that's fine. Oh yeah, brass is perfect. 47 grains. And I finally got a cloud over that I needed, 2244. 2279. Oh, one thing about this rifle you may have just seen. This front handguard, the top one is a little bit loose, and under recoil, it rides up. Hasn't seemed to affect anything, but just thought that was interesting. 48 grains. 2271 and 48 and a half. 2326. So the velocity is moving up about how we'd expect. I'm gonna go load up a few more rounds in this pattern and see if we can get to about that 2470 range. All right, that just took a few minutes. We're gonna start now at 49 grains and go up to 51. Of course, watching for pressure along the way. That trigger can be heavy. 2380, 49.5, 2368, no pressure signs, 50 grains, 2419, 50 and a half grains, recoil's getting sharper for sure. There we're at 2460, so that's about the range we're looking for. Go ahead and shoot this last shot at 51 grains. 2464, so yeah, right in that area. I have got some good shade on the target now, as you can probably see on the camera. So I'm gonna throw up a fresh target and we'll shoot another 5-shot group with the 30-31 loads, just so we can try out the accuracy a little bit. All right, chronograph shut off because I don't really care about the velocity on this one. Light on my target is great, light on my sights is not, but we'll try again nonetheless. One thing we modern shooters take for granted about scopes, it makes it a whole lot easier to shoot in all different lighting conditions. All right, we'll see if that's any better. I don't know if it's going to be or not. Not great on that one, but at least I cut some of my horizontal stringing out. One major thing that I noticed between the 3031 loads and the Shooter's World 4350 loads is Shooter's World 4350 seemed to have a significantly lower point of impact. Why? I don't know. Very similar velocity and same projectile at the same seating depth. Why it would have a different point of impact, I don't really know. The last thing I want to do for this video is do a little bit of confirmation. So I'm gonna load up 5 rounds at 50 grains of Shooter's World 4350. I wanna verify the difference in point of impact, and I also want to verify that the velocities are fairly close together. I don't need sub 10 feet per second extreme spreads. I really don't. We're shooting fairly large steel targets within 600 to 700 yards. I really don't need that. But I would like to make sure that it's not at least wildly different. From the abbreviated ladder test that I just did, I really don't think we're gonna be all over the place. The increments kind of went up as I expected them to, with a couple of statistically insignificant plateaus in there. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So let me go load up those 5 shots real quick and we'll put them on the target. 5 rounds loaded, 50 grains of Shooter's World 4350. Still got good light on the target and iffy light on the sights. So we'll see what I can do. Oh, and I did not pick up on the chronograph. Well, yeah, brass looks great. The chronograph data is definitely something I want. So let me adjust things a little bit here to try to get a better line of travel over it. Still not picking up. Optical chronographs, folks. There we got it, 2393. That's slow. Way low. 2411. Yeah, we're shooting way slower. 2469. So that's what we'll do in the next video. That group, nothing to write home about. Again, the glare off the sights was making it hard to tell. If everything had been right and it had still been off, then I might say we needed to work on a different load. For now, what I'm gonna do is load up the rest of this batch of 50. There should be 35 of them left with that 50 grain load of Shooter's World 4350. And we're gonna take this out to 100 yards and shoot a group with it with a covered shooting bench. And then we're gonna pop out to 500 or 600 yards and see how the load lines up with the sights. I will save, I've got 13 rounds left of that 3031 load. I'm gonna save those and we'll be able to compare them side by side. So anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not already, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I would appreciate some support over on Patreon. Again, thanks for watching and y'all have a good one.